Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to another video that I'm going to be bringing you today on Dragon Ball Super. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about something that I've heard a lot about recently, and I've kind of wondered about myself, and that is the topic of why do they need the Namekian Dragon Balls to bring back Piccolo in Dragon Ball Super. And after that, I'm also going to elaborate on why I think that they should or should not be using the Namekian Dragon Balls to actually bring him back to life. So, without further ado, let's get started. So as we know, despite dying twice before in the series, Piccolo has never been brought back to life with the Earth Dragon Balls. In fact, he has only ever been brought back to life with the Namekian ones. And of course, as we know, the Namekian balls do not have a limit on how many times they can bring back someone back to life. And during the Buu Saga, they were also upgraded to where they could bring back multiple people in large groups without any problems whatsoever. So a lot of people are scratching their heads as to why exactly Piccolo is not going to be brought back to life with the Earth Dragon Balls, since as we know, the Earth Dragon Balls have the limit to where they can only bring someone back to life one time. However, Piccolo has never used that one time to be brought back to life using the Earth Dragon Balls. However, there is a reason within the same arc in which Piccolo has recently been killed that perfectly explains the reason as to why they cannot use the Dragon Balls on Earth to bring him back to life. And that has to do with the resurrection of Frieza. Now, as we know in the Resurrection of F arc, Pilaf and the gang team up with Sorbet and Tagoma to find the Dragon Balls so they can bring Frieza back to life. When they gather all the Dragon Balls and summon the dragon, they immediately use all three wishes, one of which is used to bring Frieza back to life in pieces. The other two are immediately used by the Pilaf gang on the world's best ice cream and 1 million Zenny. Upon granting the third wish, Shenlong departs, leaving for the year-long hibernation cycle that the dragon goes through before the balls can become active once more. After Frieza's pieces are put in the regeneration chamber and he regenerates, resurrecting and coming back as a whole being, Frieza informs his crew that if he trains for 4 months, he will be able to surpass even the Super Saiyans and Goku, Trunks, and all the other Z fighters who have gotten much stronger than he was able to in the past. And as we know, after this 4-month period is up, Frieza returns to the Earth and launches his attack against those people who caused him his death. And of course, in the line of this battle, Piccolo is killed defending Gohan. What all of this means is that only 4 months, or roughly that period of time, has passed since they made the wish to bring back Frieza from the dead, and Shenron went away into that hibernation cycle. So this means that the Earth Dragon Balls at this point in time are no longer active. So they actually couldn't use them to bring back Piccolo back to life. This by definition means that they must in fact use the Namekian Dragon Balls to bring Piccolo back to life, or he will remain dead until the period of time in which the Dragon Balls are active once more. But with that being said, should they actually use the Namekian Dragon Balls for this purpose, or should they just wait until Piccolo can be brought back to life with the Earth Dragon Balls? Now hear me out on this one. Now, as I said earlier, the Namekian Dragon Balls are really probably the most superior form of Dragon Balls other than the Super Dragon Balls, which were actually introduced recently in the manga and are going to be introduced in the anime. They can do seemingly anything without really much limit on them whatsoever. So with that being said, does it really make a whole lot of sense to use these Dragon Balls right now and bring Piccolo back to life at this very moment, when another really big threat could possibly come along any moment which could threaten everything in the universe and they might need those Dragon Balls for something a little bit more important? Now, Piccolo, of course, is a big-time main character in the show. He's one of the most important characters in the history of the franchise. But that being said, at this point in time, what purpose is he really serving as a character? And on top of that, what help is he really providing? When we think about it, Piccolo has gotten beaten in the past 2 arcs, and pretty easily. In the first arc, he was easily beaten down by Beerus, which of course is expected, but in this arc, he was also beaten down by a Frieza henchman. So at this point, it seems like Piccolo only really exists to be cannon fodder for these other enemies. In this line of thinking, it actually would benefit Piccolo to stay dead until the Earth Dragon Balls are brought back so that he could be brought back to life with them. And the reason I say this is because of the afterlife. More specifically, the kind of training that Piccolo can receive there. And with regards to that, there's 2 destinations that Piccolo can go to that will give him the best training. The first one would have to be Heaven. Now with Heaven, as we know, as long as they were good, all of the greatest martial artists in the history of the universe have gone there. So with Piccolo, in his case, if he were to go to Heaven, he would be able to meet and possibly train with each and every single one of them. And just look at Goku. Goku trained in Heaven for 7 years in between the Cell and the Buu arc. During that period of time, he became that much more powerful, unlocking Super Saiyan 3, and also learning the fusion technique. So if Piccolo went to Heaven, he would be be able to meet up with the Metamorese and also learn the fusion technique. Or he would be able to meet some dead Yardratians, the people who taught Goku the instant transmission or instantaneous movement teleporting technique. During his 8 months of being dead, Piccolo could learn any number of new technique which would actually make him that much more valuable on the battlefield, and would make him a more dynamic character who would actually be able to pose threats to main villains. And speaking of new techniques, Piccolo could also go back and train with King Kai on his planet. Now, as we know, during the Frieza saga, Piccolo trained on King Kai's planet in the afterlife before he was wished to Namek to fight Frieza. However, many people might not realize that Piccolo's stay on King Kai's planet was actually incredibly short, as Piccolo and the other Z fighters only arrived on King Kai's planet when Goku was on his way to Namek. So by the time that Piccolo was wished back to life from being on King Kai's planet, he was only there for about 6 or 7 days. But despite this, Piccolo had received a tremendous power boost, which is acknowledged by Nail when he first meets Nail, and Nail tells him just how powerful he is and how impressive his power is. Now, despite the fact that the 10 times gravity might not be as big of a deal for Piccolo now since he's gotten that much stronger over the years, the fact of the matter is that if we gave him 8 months with King Kai, he could become that much more powerful, considering that even Goku was trained with him as a Super Saiyan 3. King Kai clearly has superior training methods that he could utilize to make Piccolo that much stronger, not to mention the techniques he could teach him, because as we know, Piccolo in the series never learned 2 of the most important techniques that Goku learned from King Kai. Number 1 would be the Kaio-Ken, and number 2 would of course be the Spirit Bomb. Now, of course, in the case of the Kaio-Ken, this of course would be good for Piccolo, because Piccolo not only can regenerate, so the damage done to his body would be able to be repaired that much easier, and thus it would probably be even better on his body. But considering that he's way more powerful now than Goku was when he was using a Kaio-Ken times 20, he would likely be able to use an even higher level of Kaio-Ken. So if Piccolo was on par with the Super Saiyan 1s during the Buu saga, for example, if he had used a Kaio-Ken times 10, he'd be stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Just imagine after training for 8 months with King Kai in the afterlife with a spiritual body that has far less limits and without any real time restraints placed upon it, how much more powerful Piccolo could actually become. And then put Kaio-Ken on top of that. Piccolo would become a very valuable asset immediately. And this would also help him going into the God of Destruction multiversal tournament arc. If Piccolo needs to fight against Universe 6's team, he's going to need a big power boost, and this is a great way to write him one. In the case of the Spirit Bomb, even if Piccolo does not get to the level of the gods, he could just stay in the background and charge up a Spirit Bomb while Goku and Vegeta, the more powerful opponents, keep the strong enemy at bay. Then he could simply throw the Spirit Bomb, killing them and winning the fight. It wouldn't just need to be the typical Goku beats the main villain in every single arc. You could have it be more dynamic as a result of this. So even though it makes sense as to why they're going to use the Namekian Dragon Balls to bring Piccolo back to life, and they're probably going to work in Supreme Kai and Kibito being split as a result of using the Dragon Balls as one of the wishes, at this point in time, I think it makes a lot more sense. It would actually be far more beneficial for Piccolo as a character and for the series as a whole to let him stay dead and wish him back with the Earth Dragon Balls. Because ironically, in my opinion, not bringing someone back to life right away is probably the easiest way to rejuvenate that person as a character. Well, my name is Mike. This has been another video that I was bringing you on Dragon Ball Super. Tell me your own thoughts down below. Do you agree with my assessment, and did you know that this is a reason why they're trying to bring back Piccolo with the Namekian Dragon Balls? Also, if you have any other ideas for a video you'd like me to make in the future, let me know down below. Also, don't forget to like, comment, share with your friends so I can make more videos like this in the future, and subscribe. And as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
You better subscribe!